because of your Son, in whose name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Nice job. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Allers, Anderson, Bartles, Barthel, Bartling, Beal, Bordeaux, Bruner, Campbell, Carson, Chase, Clark, Conzett, Dennert, Diedrich, DeSanto, Duval, Freimuller, Glanzer, Goodwin, Gosh, Greenfield, Lana, Haugard, Hawley, Heineman, Holmes, Howard, Hunoff, Jameson, Jensen, Kevin, Johns, Johnson, Kaiser, Carr, Ketwig, Lake, Latterell, Lesmeister, Livermont, Lust, Marty, May, McClary, McPherson, Mills, Otten, Herman, Peterson, Kent, Peterson, Sioux, Pischke, Qualm, Rasmussen, Reed, Roden, Ring, Rounds, Rosen, Schaefer, Shanefish, Smith, Soley, Steinhauer, Stevens, Tolson, Turbeville, Weezy, Willardson, Wismer, York, Zickman, Speaker Mickelson. Mr. Speaker, there's a quorum present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Approval of the journal.
Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Legislative Procedure respectfully reports that the Chief Clerk of the House has had under consideration the House Journal of the 8th day. All errors, typographical or otherwise, are duly marked in the temporary journal for correction, and we hereby move the adoption of the report. Respectfully submitted, G. Mark Mickelson, Chair.
Discussion, hearing none. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. All right. We have a new group of pages here. We'd like to swear them in. And Shirley Elwine, why don't you come on in here? I think most of you know that Shirley Elwine, she was a committee secretary in the past, and she just took over as the page supervisor. So I asked her to be with them on the floor today. We're going to swear them in, and then they're going to turn around and introduce themselves to you. All right. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of South Dakota, and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of House Page according to the best of my abilities. So help me God. You now are officially sworn in as a House Page for the next 2 weeks. Please turn around. I want you guys to start down here, and then I want you to introduce your name, your hometown, and what comes next, if you know.
I'm from Rapid City, and I'm hoping to study international relations somewhere on the East Coast.
You need to do blanks. Turn your
Hi, I'm Mark Smith. I'm from Faith, South Dakota. And I'm planning on going to UND, but I don't know what for yet. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Ashlyn Simons. I'm from Lincoln Center. I plan to go to BHSU and major in elementary education.
I'm Wyatt Jorgensen. I'm from Fallon, South Dakota, and I'm a senior at Gablebaugh High School. I plan on going to SDSU for Wildlife and Fisheries Sciences next year.
I'm Matt Rounds, and I'm from here in Pierre. There's a school at TF Riggs. I'm going to school in Brookings at SDSU.
I'm Parker Riefenberger. I'm from Watertown. I don't know where I'm going yet, but I want to study computer software and engineering.
Hi, I'm Grace Wolf. I'm from Neola, and I plan to attend Lake Area Technical Institute in Watertown next year for nursing.
I'm Morgan Graham. I'm from Vermillion. I plan to go to the University of Hawaii to major in sociology.
Hi, I'm Jessica Benson from Rapid City, and I'm not sure where I want to go to school yet, but I want to found a nonprofit organization.
My name is Samantha Gormaker, and I'm from here. I'm going to be going to SDSU for economics and history.
I'm Katie Tiemann. I'm from Lead, and I'm planning on going to Black Hills State University and majoring in biology.
I'm Leah Wade from Yankton, and I want to study international relations.
I'm Carter Lane. I'm from Warner. I plan to go to South Dakota School of Mines and Technology for electrical engineering.
Thank you very much. And would you guys join me? And then Shirley Elwine needs to be included. She worked really hard to coordinate all these wonderful pages. So please welcome them to the house. Thanks for coming. Okay, any introductions? All right, seeing none, reports of standing committees.
Mr. Speaker, the Committee on State Affairs respectfully reports that House Bill 1100 and 1103 do pass. House Bill 1102 do pass as amended. Respectfully submitted, Larry Roden, Chair. The Committee on Commerce and Energy respectfully reports that House Bill 1031, 1032, 1086, and 1087 do pass and be placed on the consent calendar. Respectfully submitted, Tim Rounds, Chair.
Messages.
January 19th, 2018. Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to transmit herewith Senate Bills number 13, 23, 32, and 73, which have passed the Senate, and your favorable consideration is respectfully requested. Respectfully, Kay Johnson, Secretary.
Motions and resolutions.
House Concurrent Resolution number 1001, calling for statewide recognition of the brain drain currently taking place in South Dakota and urging state and local officials to take action to attract new residents to the state after they graduate. Rep. Qualm moved that House Concurrent Resolution number 1001 be referred to the Committee on Education.
All in favor of said motion say aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries.
House Concurrent Resolution number 1002, recognizing the great need and offering support for additional mental health services in western South Dakota.
House Concurrent Resolution 1002, having had a second reading, is up for adoption and final debate. Are there any remarks? Representative Johns.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. This is a concurrent resolution recognizing the great need and offering support for additional mental health services in western South Dakota. Whereas South Dakota is experiencing a mental health crisis, and the state is one of 5 states that allow a person experiencing a mental health crisis to be held in a correctional facility. And whereas mental illness and substance abuse disorders are treatable health conditions, but often persons in crisis end up in our emergency rooms in the custody of the criminal justice system. And whereas the organizations who deal with this issue in this state strongly urge that the state of South Dakota increase the level of resources provided to accomplish the goal of establishing additional mental health services in western South Dakota, including consideration of a second human services center, and whereas western South Dakota would benefit from additional services that could provide a continuum of care for people in need of mental health services that would be less costly than jails, emergency rooms, or traveling across the state for services. And whereas the current Human Services Center located in Yankton, South Dakota is a significant geographic barrier for any person in need of services who's from West River, as it removes the person from his or her core support system and familiar setting. And whereas additional mental health services in western South Dakota would fill serious gaps in care, location, resources, and services available for safety and appropriate treatment for persons suffering from mental health services. It is proposed that the House of Representatives of the 93rd Legislature of the state of South Dakota with the Senate concurring therein, that the legislature offers its support and recognizes the great need for additional mental health services in western South Dakota. Mr. Speaker, I would so move for the adoption of that resolution.
Very good. Is there a second? No further discussion on that motion. Seeing none, the question before the body is adoption of the John's motion that House Concurrent Resolution 1002 be adopted. All those members in favor shall vote aye. All those opposed, no. The clerk will unlock the voting machine. The member shall proceed to vote. Representative Howard, Peterson, Sue, and Zickman. Oh, Howard did vote. Zickman and Peterson.
Mr. Speaker, all present have voted.
Madam Clerk, please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were 62 yeas, 1 nay, and 7 excused.
Very good. House Concurrent Resolution 1002, having received the majority vote of the members elect, is hereby declared adopted. Yeah, I need that back. Consideration of committee reports.
Representative Quam moved that reports of the Standing Committee of Education on House Bill 1016, as found on page 104 of the House Journal, also State Affairs on House Bill number 1050, as found on page 105 of the House Journal, and also Commerce and Energy on House Bill 1024, as found on page 106 of the House Journal, be adopted.
All in favor of said motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion's adopted.
Representative Quam moved that the report of the House Select Committee relative to the House rules for the 93rd legislative session, as found on page 107 of the House Journal, be adopted.
Discussion on the Quam motion. Seeing none, all those in favor of the Quam motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Oh, there's a roll call vote. All those in favor of the Quam motion to adopt the report of the House Select Committee shall vote aye. All those opposed, no. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the member shall proceed to vote. Representative Rounds. Go ahead.
I do believe these are the joint rules that we had discussed last week that we're voting on right now.
It is. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I'm not sure what your point of order is.
There was no discussion on this prior to the vote, and some people had asked, what are we voting on? So
Yep. Well, we appreciate you clarifying that.
Mr. Speaker, all members present have voted.
Madam Clerk, please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were 60 yeas, 7 excused, and 3 nays.
Very good. The motion to adopt the report of the House Select Committee regarding the House rules having received the majority vote of the members elect is hereby declared passed. First reading of House bills. The Speaker assigns to House Ag, House Bill 1115, to Joint Appropriations 1118, to Commerce 1116, 1117, to Education 1114, 1120, to Local Government 1119, State Affairs, House Joint Resolution 1003. And to Transportation, House Bill 1113. Second reading of House, or first reading of Senate bills.
Senate Bill number 13, an act to revise certain provisions regarding the Director of the Legislative Research Council issuing fiscal notes for certain ballot issues. Senate Bill 23, an act to reduce the driver license renewal requirements regarding the submittal of documentation of Social Security numbers and to update certain references to federal regulations. Senate Bill 32, an act to place certain substances on the controlled substances schedule and to declare an emergency. And Senate Bill 73, an act to authorize a vehicle dealer to lease space in the common area of a shopping mall for displaying new vehicles.
The Speaker assigns to Commerce, Senate Bill 73, to Health, Senate Bill 32, to State Affairs, Senate Bill 13, and to Transportation, Senate Bill 23. Consent calendar.
Mr. Speaker, Representative Shane Fish requested that House Bill 1084 be removed from the consent calendar.
That's granted.
And also, Mr. Speaker, Representative Howard requested that House Bill 1009 be removed from the consent calendar.
And that is granted.
House Bill 1038. Thank you. House Bill 1038, an act to revise certain provisions regarding the medical support obligations to a child. House Bill 1010, an act to revise certain provisions regarding federal protections for National Guard members ordered to active duty. House Bill 1018, an act to update and revise certain references and provisions regarding state agencies and the employment of certain public employees. House Bill 1023, an act to repeal certain provisions regarding pipeline safety. And House Bill 1042, an act to revise certain references regarding the Division of Insurance.
The question before us is final adoption of the consent calendar. Are there any questions on the consent calendar? Seeing none, the question before the body is final adoption of the consent calendar. All those members in favor shall vote aye. All those opposed, no. The clerk will unlock the voting machine. The member shall proceed to vote.
Representative Roden votes aye. Representative Beal votes aye. Representative Qualm? Representative Qualm. Mr. Speaker, all members present have voted.
Madam Clerk, please display the vote.
There were yeas 63, 7 excused.
The consent calendar, having received the majority vote of the members elect, is hereby declared adopted. Second reading of House bills.
House Bill 1058, an act to revise certain provisions regarding the employment of the superintendent of the State School for the Deaf and the South Dakota School for the Blind and Visually Impaired. Representative Qualm moved that House Bill 1058 be deferred to Tuesday, January 23rd, 2018, the 10th legislative day.
Discussion. All in favor of the Qualm motion, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion's adopted. Go ahead. Second reading of House bills.
I have the wrong number. Okay, all right, okay.
He wants me to change this to a different committee. You go ahead.
Okay.
So
House Bill 1057, an act to authorize the Board of Regents to contract for the construction of the Madison Cyber Labs, MAD Labs, and the demolition of the Lowry Hall at Dakota State University, to make an appropriation therefore and to declare an emergency.
Very good. Question before us, House Bill 1057, having had second reading, is up for consideration and final debate. Are there any remarks?
Mr. Speaker,
Representative Weese.
members of the body, House Bill 1057 authorizes the construction of the Madison Cyber Labs on the campus of DSU and the demolition of Lowry Hall, which is at the site of the new building. MAD Labs will be a mix of DSU applied research projects and cybersecurity projects for outside organizations and corporations. It's designed to build on DSU's current and expanding capabilities as a cyber leader by establishing a Center for Cybersecurity and Cyber Operations Research and Development in South Dakota. This hub will stimulate economic development by drawing cybersecurity students and professionals to DSU and by giving them compelling reasons to stay in South Dakota to study and work in a variety of interdisciplinary areas. This economic impact will spread to the state, region, and beyond, as the labs will create partnerships with other regional schools, government agencies, business and industry, nonprofit groups, and international higher education institutions. The emergency clause will allow DSU to be able to begin construction this spring with completion in the summer of 2019, which is important for acquiring grants and contracts for research. This bill passed out of appropriations on a vote of 17-0. There was several proponent testimony and no opponent testimony. So I urge your favorable consideration of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Weese. Further remarks? Representative Heineman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a member of District 8 group, I wholeheartedly support this project. This plan has been in the works for about 3 years. They've kind of looked at how to address some security issues as far as working with the federal government, NSA. So I would encourage your support. I think it's a great step forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't know how many remember me standing on the floor last year and opposing a new building going up at a university. And partly I opposed it because they weren't tearing down any old square footage and they had no new mission. I'm going to stand here and give kudos to Madison because they're doing it right. They actually are tearing down square footage, about a quarter of the new square footage that's being built, and they have proven that they have an expanding mission. So in this case, they need to be applauded, and we need to support this.
Thank you. Representative Marty?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That was a question.
Representative Marty wanted me to tell you guys he only talks about twice, so pay attention.
I got to use Mr. Goodwin's speaker deal because I haven't gotten one yet. So.
Ever since you started voting against your sister, she stole your mic.
Question for the sponsor.
Go ahead and state your question.
Has there been an M&R study on how much this will cost the taxpayers for the M&R?
Representative Weese, do you wish to answer that question?
My understanding is that about 70% of the fees for M&R come from student fees, and about 30% is what they're asking the appropriators for.
Okay, anything else, Representative Marty? No. You good? Representative May?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to go to the appropriator on this. Not my good friend from Lake Minor Moody. I want more information on the M&R. 30%? How much? What are we talking about? Because I know the science one in Aberdeen was $500,000 a year. I need to have some kind of assurance that the taxpayers, this isn't going to be an ongoing expense, and not to our students in fees. Which one of the appropriators, I don't care who answers it, but somebody needs to.
That's an open-ended question to somebody. Representative Anderson, you wish to answer that question?
I will attempt to do so. Please keep in mind, this is an $18 million gift to the state of South Dakota. You want to turn that down? Yes, it's going to cost us some M&R. Yes, we're going to have to maintain that building into the future. But we're not having to appropriate $18 million to do this. It's a great project. It's good for the state of South Dakota. We are on the leading edge of cybersecurity at the public university systems. This is not something we want to discourage. This is something we want to support. And yes, we as a state will be responsible for a portion. The students, the university system takes care of a good share of the M&R for this type of building. The state of South Dakota will be responsible for a portion of it. A small price to pay for something as far-reaching and as innovative as this project is. Please support the bill. Thank you.
Representative May, anything further?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I still didn't get the question answered. I want to know what the ongoing cost associated with this project to the taxpayers will be, a percentage.
Would you like to pick someone to address that question to Representative May? Representative Heineman, you wish to answer that question? Go ahead.
Sure, I got a big target. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just if you do the rough math, 2% is typical M&R. In an $18 million project, it's going to be a little over $300,000. Actually, if the appropriators are listening, if the students are going to pick up 70% of that, $210,000, so that leaves the state with about $90,000 a year to cover the cost of running that building. Is that pretty close? Well, to have it in the fund, whether you spend $90,000, I mean, that's average across all of the state facilities. So some that are in really bad shape are going to require much more of that fund, but that fund would get about that amount, right? Okay.
Anything further, Representative May?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I too think it's a great idea, and I think it's a great project. But we have to remember that every year we come down here and we look at the budget, right? And we get lectured on the budget. And ag community supports the biggest share of our budget, right? Okay. So every time we come down here and we think about these great projects, we got to remember we can't be the employer. because the ones that are out there paying these bills is our ag community, the biggest share of it. It is the largest part of our budget. So we have to make sure our priorities are straight. This M&R, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, I realize that, we've got to slow the growth down. We are completely getting ahead of ourselves on the budget. Is the ag community, you know, there was a report that the state government has grown by 35% in the last 10 years. I don't know anybody in my community where their income has grown by 35%. So I think that we need to really start looking at these. I understand this is a gift of $18 million. I get that. But the cost associated with the ongoing expense to the gift of $18 million to the taxpayers is what? We've got to be careful with the M&R project. We've got $500,000 minimum going to the new science center in Aberdeen. Now we have this. Is this really the route we want to go down, and is this the priority that we want as a state? My priorities lie a little closer to home, but I think it's something that you all need to consider when these projects come in front of us and they're a donation.
Further remarks, Representative Allers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And to my good representative from Bennett County, maybe this will help relieve some of your concerns with the costs. This is also a research facility, and unlike many of our other facilities, this facility has the potential to generate revenue with licensing agreements because of the nature of the patents and technology that they would be developing. So unlike many of our other buildings, this one actually has the potential to bring in revenue to the state through those licensing agreements.
Thank you. Further remarks, Representative Howard. Oh,
Thank
wait
you,
a minute. Does anyone wish to speak for a first time before Representative Howard speaks for a second time? Okay, Representative Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the good representative from, and I can't read all her counties, the alphabet soup of counties, I just want to say she brings up a good point, and I think it is a larger discussion that we need to have about M&R. There was a time period where no general funds went to M&R. I don't know for how long that was, but you know, we could survive without general funds going to M&R. So I think she brings up a good point and a discussion that we need to have. But I would urge you to support this. This is one building, you know, until we change how we fund M&R, we have no choice but to live within the system that we have. And I may disagree with that system, but this is a good facility. But she brings up good points.
Further remarks, Representative Pischke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, about 15 minutes ago, I had a real feel-good comment to stand up and say it, and then we got on this. But nonetheless, as a proud Dakota State University graduate and one of the very few here in this body and in the whole legislature, I just do want to stand up and ask you guys to support this bill. Dakota State University has been designated by the National Security Agency and United States Department of Homeland Security as the National Center of Academic Excellence in Information Assurance Education. Also, DSU received 4 more CIA designations from the NSA in cyber operations, cyber defense education, cyber defense research, and information assurance research. DSU also formed the first and only partnership with the National Cryptological School for Degree Completion Program, allowing NSA on-the-job employees to complete some of their coursework at DSU. Ladies and gentlemen, the students that are being trained at Dakota State University are top-notch, and they're getting some high-paying jobs and defending our national security. So I do think that this is a great bill. Keep in mind also, Lowry Hall is being taken down with this. So there was already M&R going to Lowry Hall, and now we're just putting up a new building in its place. So I urge your passage. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no further remarks, the question before the body is final passage of House Bill 1057. All those members in favor shall vote aye. All those opposed, no. The clerk will unlock the voting machine. The member shall proceed to vote. And this is a 2/3 vote. We got an appropriation and an emergency.
Mr. Speaker, all members present have voted.
Madam Clerk, please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were yeas 63 and excused 7.
Well, House Bill 1057, having received the majority vote of the members elect, is hereby declared passed. Questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed approved.
House Bill 1077, an act to update certain language regarding capital punishment and to revise the mandatory sentence for persons with an intellectual disability convicted of murder in the first degree.
House Bill 1077, having received its second reading, is up for consideration and final debate. Are there any remarks? Representative Allers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the body. House Bill 1077 does two things. First, it strikes the terminology mental retarded and mental retardation and replaces it with intellectually disabled and intellectual disability. The term intellectual disability covers the same population of individuals who are diagnosed previously with mental retardation in number, kind, level, type, duration of the disability, and the need of those individuals. The term intellectual disability has gradually replaced mental retardation nationwide. Advocates for individuals with intellectual disability have rightfully asserted the term mental retardation has negative connotations, has become offensive to those individuals that have this disability and result in misunderstandings in the nature of the disorder of those who have it. The second portion of this bill, on page 2, line 22, deletes the term without parole. While some of you may have been concerned with the notion that it's allowing parole for these individuals, it's merely striking redundant language. And someday I would like to have a conversation about the without parole, but today is not that day. In codified law, under 24-15A-32 and under 24-15A-32.1, it states that in South Dakota, a life in prison means life in prison. There is no option for parole. So with that, I would request your support of House Bill 1077.
Very good. Further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, House Bill 1077 is up for final passage. All those members in favor shall vote aye. All those opposed, no. The clerk will unlock the voting machine. The member shall proceed to vote. I don't know if anyone has any announcements, but the doctor of the day got snowed in. So there is no doctor of the day today. It's a good thing you're healthy. You could all use a little sun. Oh, I'm going to wait till this vote's over.
Representative Chase. Mr. Speaker, all members present have voted.
Madam Clerk, please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were yeas 62, 8 excused.
House Bill 1077, having received the majority vote of the members elect, is hereby declared passed. Questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed approved.
House Bill 1029, an act to increase certain fees for self-insurance by employers.
House Bill 1029, having received a second reading, is up for consideration and final debate. Are there any remarks? Representative Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is at the request of the Department of Labor and Regulations
And HB 1029 sets the application fees that employers pay to self-insured for work comp at $2,250, and it puts it in an administrative rule. And then it also increases the maximum application fee from $2,000 to $3,000 in the statute. Just for a little bit of background, South Dakota employers can choose to be self-insured instead of purchasing work comp and purchasing that policy from a commercial insurance carrier, of which there are about 13 companies in the state of South Dakota that are self-insured in work comp right now. To be self-insured, the employers are required by statute to submit annual applications showing proof of solvency and ability to pay compensation, along with paying the $2,000 application fee. Then the state hires actuarial firms to review these self-insurance applications, and currently they charge the Department of Labor and Regulations the $2,000, or the same as the application fee at the moment. In the past 10 years, this fee has not increased, and Department of Labor and Regulations contractual actuarial firm is requesting an increase to $2,250 for the next review period, and this would then mean that we need to increase the fee to $2,250 to pay for that cost. It gets into a lot of discussion on fees, but it's simply a transfer fee for what the cost is to be self-insured. Hopefully you'll support the bill. Further remarks? Further remarks on House Bill 1029? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the body is final passage of House Bill 1029. All those members in favor shall vote aye. All those opposed, no. The clerk will unlock the voting machine. The member shall proceed to vote.
Representative May.
Is it 2/3 of the members elect, not the number of people here, right? And that's 47.
Mr. Speaker, all members present have voted.
Madam Clerk, please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were yeas 46, nays 16, and excused 8.
This was a 2/3 vote. And House Bill 1029, having failed to receive the 2/3 vote of the members elect, is hereby declared failed. Under House Rule 513-1, it will be placed on tomorrow's calendar for reconsideration. It got more than half, but less than 2/3. So that's the House. That's the rule on that. All right. Let's see, there being no objection, I'm reverting to order of business. First reading of House bills, and I had originally said I assigned 1116, 1117 to Commerce. Those are going to be assigned to Transportation, House Transportation. Okay, announcements. Representative Chase.
Just a reminder, Transportation Committee, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. We're going to talk about 3 bills and roundabouts.
Very good. Representative Hanoff.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Government Operations and Audit will be meeting right after session in room 362. We have a bill to act on. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Hanoff. Representative Heineman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There will be no reception tonight The tribes aren't able to get out due to weather.
Very good, thank you. Representative Otten, do you have an announcement?
Yes, sir. There will be no House Ag and Natural Resources meeting tomorrow morning. There will be Thursday, and it'll be a full slate on Thursday.
Thank you. Representative Steinhauer.
Health and Human Services at 8:30 tomorrow morning.
Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There is a seminar in room 414 tomorrow. That's Tuesday the 23rd. Forest health issues. That's for the public and everybody on this floor, and we'll let some senators in too if they want to attend.
Representative Conzett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No local government tomorrow.
Mr. Speaker.
Representative Haugart.
Tax Committee meets tomorrow morning, I believe at 8:15. I'll double check that, but 8:15, I'll send the text out.
Very good. Representative Allers.
Appropriations meets tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We'll do health, corrections, and correctional health.
Very good. Representative Hunoff.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a reminder for members today at 3:30 and 4:14, you will have the GOAC report, performance management review, and the role of legislative audit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
When is that, Representative Hunoff?
Today at 3:30 in room 414.
Okay, I'm just going to underline that one because I know there was a lot of energy on that issue, but we've got a really good Department of Legislative Audit. They've got about twice as many staff as our staff. And so if you have an interest in that, make sure you get up there and meet some of those folks and listen to what they do. Further announcements? Representative Beal. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries.